In this video, we're gonna break down the key differences between Rock Hill and Fort Mill so you can make the best decision for you. So stick around because we're gonna jump right in. Fort Mill is about 20 miles from the greater Charlotte area and definitely one of the most popular suburbs for people that want to live in Charlotte, the greater Charlotte area, but have a little bit more quieter suburban feel. Direct access to I-77, which is your direct connection into and through the greater Charlotte area. It's about a 30 minute drive from the Fort Mill area into the Uptown greater Charlotte area. So not a far distance to get from Fort Mill into the greater Charlotte area. And looking at Rock Hill, you're actually just a little bit farther away from the greater Uptown Charlotte area than you are with Fort Mill. You're looking at about a 45 minute drive into Uptown, really depending on traffic. And if you're looking at access to the airport, you're going to be closer in Fort Mill than you are Rock Hill. Both cities have direct access to I-77, so you do have that ability to get into Charlotte, getting on a larger or a faster route than back roads and getting into the Charlotte area. But Fort Mill's closer to Charlotte in general. It's also closer to the airport, so we're gonna give a thumbs up to the Fort Mill area over Rock Hill in that location instance. Before we jump into one of my favorite topics, which is the history of these two cities, if this is your first time to the channel, I want to invite you to like and subscribe so you'll be the first to know as we release new content all the time. My name's Steve Gerald with the Longleaf Group here at eXp Realty, and I love working with people just like you every single day that are looking to make the move to the Charlotte area, especially the South Charlotte area. Make sure you reach out anytime. We absolutely love helping people just like you. Once again, Steve Gerald. Let's jump back in and learn more about Fort Mill and Rock Hill. As we look at the history of these two cities, the common thread here is textiles and the growth of the textile industry in both Fort Mill and Rock Hill. And if you watch some of our other videos, you'll notice that that's actually a common theme throughout the Charlotte area, which is the textile industry, the railroads, and how they played a part in the growth of really the greater Charlotte area. Rock Hill definitely has a richer, deeper history dating back to Native American establishment and, as I mentioned, the textile industry. The railroads that actually cuts directly through Rock Hill played a huge part of the growth of the Rock Hill area. Fort Mill is definitely more closely tied to the Catawba River, and we've seen the growth with the master plan communities in Fort Mill, as well as its close proximity to Lake Wylie and the growth of even sub-communities within the Fort Mill area like Tega Cay, very high-end upscale living in the Fort Mill, and Tega Cay, part of Fort Mill. So the history played a huge part in both of these communities to see the growth that they have today. And where did the name Rock Hill come from? Well, it's very creatively named after a flint rock hill that was cut through in order for the railroad to cut directly through the Rock Hill area, as I mentioned earlier. And that's where the name came from. And a big part of that textile industry, as I mentioned, is the cotton industry. So you have that history developing over time into what is now the Rock Hill area, which has a vibrant downtown, both modern and the historic charm of the downtown areas we'll talk about here shortly. But the Fort Mill area, with a less rich history, has a much more developed downtown area, modern feel, communities, and growth, even though it doesn't have the rich history that Rock Hill has. Fort Mill has established its own growth and trajectory on its own. Speaking of outdoor activities, you are definitely going to have to check out the Anne Springs Close Greenway in the Fort Mill area, which is 2,100 acres of greenway space from hiking. You've got horseback riding. There's a dog park, fishing, all sorts of activities for the outdoor enthusiasts that you definitely have to check out. So from that side, Fort Mill has plenty of outdoor things to do. And speaking of outdoor things to do, if you like roller coasters, The Carowinds amusement park, which is just minutes from the Fort Mill area, is one of the largest amusement parks in all of the Southeast, which is incredible throughout the holidays, whether it's the Christmas time, Halloween, and then obviously the summertime, you have your normal activities, but all through the year, there's something to do for everyone at Carowinds and then the outdoors at Anne Springs Close Greenway. Now, as we look at Rock Hill, the things to do are different than you're gonna find in Fort Mill. Obviously, location-wise, you're not super far from either one to do those things, but in Rock Hill, you have the downtown Rock Hill, which has been revitalized, the walkable downtown, lots of places to check out, shop, eat, drink, cool place to hang out. The other highlight of the Rock Hill area is the university, which gives you that college vibe going through the Rock Hill area, which is Winthrop University, a public university that if you follow NCAA basketball, you've probably recognized the name because they've made the tournament several years. As you walk through the university, the Winthrop Eagles mascot is throughout the university area. Diverse selection of courses, majors through Winthrop University, and it's right in the middle of the Rock Hill, the city of Rock Hill. The railroad tracks go through the university. It's got that feel that you get with school vibe going through the Winthrop University. So speaking of sports, Rock Hill also has it going on with the BMX World Championships taking place in the Rock Hill community, as well as Rock Hill is actually, interestingly enough, known as one of the football factories of the United States, with over 20 plus NFL players that have come out of high schools in the Rock Hill area. So if football is your thing, following high school football, Rock Hill has some of the top athletes in the country. Very cool highlight of the Rock Hill community. If a big reason for your move is the quality of schools, there's definitely a clear winner between Fort Mill and Rock Hill. And the winner is definitely going to be Fort Mill if you're looking at those rankings. Fort Mill has the top school district in all of the South Carolina area, with absolutely top-notch schools rated 10 out of 10 at greatschools.org. The school system's obviously great there. You're gonna have higher taxes, not hugely greater than the Rock Hill area, but they are directly associated with that quality school system infrastructure, while Rock Hill does not rank where Fort Mill is currently. And you also see that affecting the home prices. People wanna be where the schools are ranked higher. Rock Hill does have great schools, but comparing the two, Fort Mill is definitely the clear winner. Now, of course, one of my favorite topics, which is real estate, looking at the real estate market in these two communities. Fort Mill actually has a median home price of $565,000, which is actually greater than that price in the greater Charlotte area. So that's directly attributed to schools, amenities, the lifestyle, all of the things that we talked about that are here in the Fort Mill area. And as we compare it to Rock Hill, the price is greater, the amenities are greater, so there's definitely a trade-off as we compare the two. While both communities definitely have that mix of new construction, historic homes, townhomes, the clear winner on the affordability is going to be Rock Hill, with a median home price of $358,000. Like I mentioned, you have the historic homes that are there, as well as new things that are popping up. But you're also not going to have that quality of schools that you're going to see with the rankings and all of the other things that we dismissed. You have a lot of growth opportunities there as the trend of evolving communities, growth, new things are coming up in the Rock Hill area all the time. But you're definitely going to have a much more affordable options available in the Rock Hill area versus Fort Mill currently. So let's highlight the quick pros and cons of these two communities. Fort Mill, definitely the big pro is the top schools in all of South Carolina, and really the greater Charlotte area. You're going to have some of the best schools. Obviously, you're also going to have the proximity to the greater Charlotte area, easy access to 77 taking you directly into the Uptown greater Charlotte area. In Fort Mill, you're going to have more access to family-friendly communities, master plan communities, and the other is A+ rating for crime, as you're comparing other communities to the indexes that are ranking the amount of crime in the United States. So you're gonna have a very family-friendly, safer environment according to the rankings. And as you look at the inverse of those, you're gonna have higher traffic in the Fort Mill area. You're gonna also have higher home prices with limited inventory. So you have high prices, lack of homes. That has affected really the whole greater Charlotte area, but especially in such an area that's in demand like Fort Mill. So that is definitely gonna be cons to consider. And as we look at the pros of Rock Hill, you definitely have more affordable homes with a growing community, a robust downtown. One of my favorite places to go downtown hangout wise is the Rock Hill area. Obviously outdoor activities to do in Rock Hill as well. Access to the Catawba River, still can get easily into the Lake Wiley area. Big pros for Rock Hill versus Fort Mill. The downside is you're not going to have the schools that as we compared to Fort Mill, and you're not going to have the amount of things to do with Rock Hill, especially if you're driving into the greater Charlotte area, going to the airport more frequently. Fort Mill is going to have that over the Rock Hill community, but overall, great things to do in both of these areas and a lot of things to compare and contrast. Thank you for joining us on our overview as we compare Rock Hill and Fort Mill. Sounds very similar, but lots of differences between these two great cities just south of Charlotte. Make sure you like and subscribe. Reach out anytime if you have any questions about living in South Charlotte, areas like Fort Mill and Rock Hill. Until next time, we'll see you then.